When I look back over the last 20 years that I've been doing Six Sigma projects, I realized that all of my multi-million-dollar projects began with a pivot table. But I discovered that most people are afraid of pivot tables, and so I created the pivot table wizard to help people solve problems. So when you have raw data that looks like this line-by-line stuff, you have to be able to summarize it so that you can turn it into charts and graphs. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. So what we're going to do is take line-by-line data like this, use pivot tables to refine it, and then use that to create charts. So as an example, let's just go over here, and we're going to open up, again from my documents, we're going to go into QI macros test data, and we're going to open up the pivot table. And here you can see we have some carton manufacturing defects by date and by line and by type of defect. And you can see line 2 has bent and damaged flaps, and line 1 has some, and then line 3 has some, and then line 1 has some more. How do we summarize all of that? Well, we take, and you can just click on one title, and I'm going to click on line and defect. And then you go up to our QI macros data transformation tools and click on the pivot table wizard. And it'll figure out the best way to summarize this data. And so here you can see that by date, we have the number of defects. We could go up to QI macros and we could choose the chart wizard. It'll ask us if this is measured, not counted data. No, it's actually counted data. And it'll give us a C chart of our packaging defects over this period of time. All right, so we can see that we have a couple of out of control points here. And now we could come back in and say, oh, well, let's go look at it line by line. And so we can select the data horizontally. This is something you can't do in other packages. And we could draw a Pareto chart line by line. Packaging defects by line. So line 3 is our big hitter here. Now once we've drawn the pivot table, then we can start to rearrange things. So let's say I want to get rid of date. I can just drag that out of there and drag defect in here. This would give me the packaging defects by line and the grand total of types of defects. I could select all of that data, click on Pareto chart, let it summarize by bars. And so for line 1, we can see that bent and damaged flaps is the biggest one for line 1 and for line 2. But for line 3 here, folded flaps. And overall, folded flaps is also the largest. So that's how you can use this kind of data and the pivot table wizard to turn that into something you can then analyze easily using the QI macros. Now there's some other tools we can use here in the data transformation. I often find that people have lots of memo text from help desks and so on. And if you select that data, you can click on word count. And word count will go parse this into 1- and 2-word phrases and come up with the most common phrases in here. In this case, this was for healthcare. We had reject for dupe, duplicate data service. Day reject, multiple visits, data service multiple, visits same day. Oh my goodness, maybe we're having claims denied for duplicate date of service. And so this is another way to start to analyze your data using the QI macros. Word count routine. And we can also restack data. So I'm going to go out here and do a file and open on the histogram. And here's a whole bunch of data that's in a square, but what if we wanted to get it into a single column? Well, if you select that data with your mouse, click on restacking, and just say stack columns, it'll ask you how many columns you want to stack at a time. I'm just going to say 1. And so here it'll go and take all of our data. It's going to leave the old data in there, and here's our new data. And we could take that and turn that into a control chart. And so the data transformation tools, starting with pivot tables and word count and restacking, will help you organize your data in a way that will allow you to find what I call the hidden low-hanging fruit in your organization. And this is how I go about just about every improvement project I work on with companies, is to drill down and start to figure out what's actually going on in their business. So that's it. We take the pivot table wizard to turn all of this kind of nonsense into something we can actually chart or graph, and then you use the control chart wizards and other things to develop improvement stories based on the pivot table itself. And that's how easy it can be to start to really find that low-hanging fruit in your business. To learn more about the QI macros for Excel, go to our website, qimacros.com.